Hi, everyone. I'm Summer,
I'm Carrie.
and this is Hopelexia Podcast.
Join us to talk about sex, drugs, and self improvement.
I got back from a week. I was gone for a week because I had travel for work and then travel to see a friend, so I was gone, right? Um, so I got home on Sunday, and my mother handed me a letter from my daughter,
Yay.
which was surprising and interesting. So I guess we will talk about that, and I want your perspective on this too.
Deal.
I sent it to I sent it to a clinician who knows her and has never treated her, but has helped give referrals for her over time. So she actually knows, all the gory details and things. And her recommendation was don't respond. She said it's her characterization was this is obviously entirely manipulative. So
Yeah.
all right, I will read it to you.
Read for the class.
I'll read aloud for the class. It says, "Hey, it's," and I will name redacted. Whoever is reading this, you can tear it up or do whatever you want with it. Just want to tell you how things are going, even if you're not wondering. I've moved to a lot of places, and it's very tiring at most times. I'm sorry if I scared you and made you feel unsafe. That if is doing a lot of heavy lifting.
Yeah.
I don't really know what happened in the last few years, but I'm trying to make it up to all of you. I don't know how to, but I'll find some way to. Cue ominous music.
Real.
It's sad just not being around you guys since I lived with y'all most of my life. I'm reading off of a photo of, pencil on paper. So there's a glare and I trouble seeing. It's also certainly a big change for the both of us, but it was needed. I'm getting pretty better at managing myself, parenthetically, feelings and thoughts. But I wish y'all could see the good progress I made. I made some really great friends during this journey, and I love them to death. We have our ups and downs, but we are still family. I'm not sure if we are able to write letters to each other, but I still want to know how things are. I'm going to a public school now, and I really enjoy the experience than online school. It's easier for me to get help with my schoolwork since I'm now passing all my classes. That's all I really want to say. It would be nice if anyone can write back to me. I hope all of you are doing okay. Talk to you soon. With love. And then signed her name. I don't really know. Like, there's some things in there that are like expected, right? Like the letting herself off the hook. I don't really know what happened. I'm sorry if I made you feel unsafe, the negating the fact that we literally were unsafe, right? So like that's like textbook, not surprising. But there was some things that I don't quite understand. Like, well, for one, it was mailed to my mother, but it says stuff like, I lived with you most of my life, and this was the best for both of us. So I'm wondering if it was written to me, and then maybe that's the only address they could find or something, because my address is a new box number, so it's not.
Yeah, that was probably the last one. Because if that was like the one. So when everything was happening, if you got a new P.O. box and that was the only one that they had, but they knew.
Right. Well, she didn't know my parents' address, but I mean, it's they've lived in the same place for 40 years. So all you have to do is Google their name.
Yeah.
And
So
my
she might just know that one
yeah.
and not know yours.
Yeah, I don't know. But it did make me think, well, maybe it was written to me because she never lived with them. So,
Yeah.
but then there's also other things like I'm passing all my classes now. She was passing all her classes before. I don't understand. I don't know. So that's why I'm like,
I wonder if it went through somebody else's hands
I
before
don't
she mailed
know.
it. Like if she thought that they were going to read it.
That's what I'm wondering, if this is a narrative that she's spinning on that end and somebody
Yeah.
else. It was suggested to me when I ran it by that clinician. I don't want to name them because I didn't ask them if I could discuss their involvement on this. Because and their speculation was that this letter may have been at the suggestion of a teacher or a school counselor or something. If she's,
I would definitely say school counselor. Or
right,
if
like, I don't
she's
know why
getting,
I miss, or I'm confused. Apparently that's a common practice sometimes.
if she's in a home now,
Hmm.
she would definitely qualify for what's called enhanced foster care.
What is that?
So EFC and the DHS like child welfare system, I don't know what it's called, like if there's other programs like in other states, but it's EFC in Oklahoma. For enhanced foster care, if she's in a like foster home and not a shelter or something, like they have to be in a home. They do they link up with like one of our like support services that we use. Like Oklahoma
Mhm.
City has like North Care, Tulsa has someone else, and they'll do like family counseling once a week, which will just be like the kid and like the foster family to
Mhm.
learn how to like cope with behaviors and how to like compromise with each other and do that kind of stuff. And then the kid would also do individual therapy once or twice a week. And then they would have in-home services to help learn like discipline and organization in the home. Do like therapy in the home. They'd have like extra visits from their workers, like permanency workers, foster care workers, like anybody, like just to put eyes on the kid. So if she is doing something like that, like if she's in a home, which I don't know, like I can't go look because that's
I would ask you to do
illegal.
that. Yeah.
But like so like if she was in a home and she was doing something like that, I could definitely see like that being something like one of the therapists like would want her to do. I don't know if they would want her to like mail it, but
Somebody
like write
did.
it.
Well,
So
somebody mailed it, and I can say the date on the letter. It was dated on a Friday, and it was not mailed out until middle of the next week. So that would lend itself to, she took it to them and then they mailed it. I also Googled the address that it came from, and the public school popped up.
yeah, definitely like a school counselor then probably.
Yeah. So I did reach out to the school. And just, because I'm sure they probably don't have all the facts about what happened. And I didn't give them all the gory details, but I did let them know, like, the reason, I'm here for if you need any information to help you in, working with her or any of that, you're welcome to contact me for that sort of information. But her sending letters to any of us right now is highly inappropriate. We're just getting started working on our CPTSD, our alphabet soup of trauma. So now is not the time. And I fully believe she is aware of that. And the reason I say that, I'm not just, expecting, too much out of a teenager here. During one of her inpatient stays last year, there was a time I was not taking her. I stopped taking her nightly because I think it was every night they were that facility let them call. And she was using that time to essentially trigger me and harass me,
Yeah.
after, and I was already trying to deal with everything, she already had attacked me, and we had uncovered a plot, a murder plot. So anyways, so during that stay, the boundary was, I will talk to you during, we will discuss during family counseling when your therapist is on the phone, because that is what we need to be focused on, not you calling me every night and making demands for me to mail you stuff at the facility that they won't even let you have anyway, and then abusing me because I won't do it. Like, we're not doing that.
Yeah.
So the therapist talked to her about how, when there are harms that you can't undo, and you can't expect people to just forget about them. Just because I'm not actively trying to assault you at this very moment doesn't mean it undoes what I just did. And that contacting people that you have harmed can cause further harm, which I think just sort of gave her another tool in her toolbox. But she is aware of that. So
that's definitely a thing.
Right. Like, I don't want to project onto this that it was definitely malicious, but I think she did know it wasn't okay.
Like, all kinds of, like, in, like, Batters Intervention Prevention Group, or batter intervention prevention?
I don't remember.
Intervention and prevention. Oh my gosh, I get there one day. But like in the BIP groups, and like people that work with like diagnosed like narcissists and like all that kind of stuff, like they talk about how they just go there to learn to like use the therapy speak against people and like make it look like they've changed or made progress, and like it's really just to be better at what they do.
Right. And I noticed she did some of that, I'm using the language of amends, and I'm going to find a way to make this up to you, even though it's very clear that where it's basically I did nothing wrong, and I'm sorry you felt that way about it.
I'm sorry you feel that way, but I didn't do it, so.
Maybe you should just not feel that way, and that would fix this problem.
How dare you have feelings?
That's actually the reason the judge offered to terminate my rights on the day that adjudication happened, and the state was, because we honestly, nobody else in that room knew that was legally possible, because procedurally that's just not the way it usually works. We usually set a new hearing and do that later. And she made a good point. She's like, these people need to heal. We need to not be if they have to be involved in this process, we're re-victimizing them. And like, I get it, she wasn't wrong. I just hadn't thought that far ahead. I was more focused on trying to advocate for her.
Kind of similar to like in child welfare, when we get like shocking and heinous cases, like they terminate automatically for the parents doing specific things.
Right.
So I don't understand why, like, I understand why, like, but I don't at the same time, like, why it couldn't be the same way if a kid is the one that's perpetrating and doing the shocking and heinous things.
Right. Well, apparently it can be. We just
have to have very well documented.
Right. Like, we just didn't know. But yeah, there's nothing in the procedure that says it can't be. It's just not the way it's usually done, because you have to file because the ADA has to file the petition. And that was, his concern was, I haven't written up a petition because he didn't think about it either. And she said, well, I'm going to go ahead and do this, and you go back to your office and write one and bring it back to me. And that way it's all happening on the same day and everything's done. So that's what we did. I do note on that we have our ups and downs, but we are still family. That's a direct quote, quoting my dad from the last time we had a conversation where he was trying to force me to have a relationship with my parents' other daughter. And so that was actually something that me and the kids had discussed at length about, no, that is not how this works. I am not raising you like that. If someone abuses you, you are not required to continue having a relationship with them.
Yeah.
And so it was interesting that she employed that phrase word for word.
I feel like it's something that a lot of adults, especially in like the Bible Belt areas, say a lot. And I'm wondering if it may be like school counselor or teachers or somebody may have repeated it. And she was like, oh, yeah.
No.
Or if that was just something that she like latched onto and was like, I'm going to use that one day.
I mean, it might have been because he says it a lot. And because it's also a phrase that he used a few times. I know he used that a few times in talking to her, like when she stole his credit card, or no, I'm sorry, stole his debit card, and then later stole my mother's credit card because they found that happened like a few days apart, so they really figured it out like at the same time, so it all was kind of one big incident. And so when he talked to her about that, and then that was when she got really in their face and she wasn't allowed over there without me anymore. But I know I'm pretty sure he used that phrase with her during that conversation too. Was like, I love you, we're still family, we have our ups and downs, but we're still family. And then when she wasn't around, then told me she can't be here without you. Because that was never said to her or in front of her. And implemented. Yeah. So
it's so wild, like, because I remember when I worked at the psych hospital, like my kids would do that too. Like my kids on my unit, like, specifically like a kid that would call me every name under the sun, and he gave me a concussion, like kicked me in the head, like tried to like bite me, hit me, spit on me, like anything you could think of. And then like an hour later would write me like a little note when he was half asleep from the meds that he got, and was like, Miss Carrie, I'm so sorry, you're my favorite staff and I just love when you work. And I'm like, okay, this whiplash. And they would say like the same kind of things that she wrote in her letter, and I'm just like, I have a hard time like believing it, not just for like just cause, but because 9 times out of 10 the people that write stuff like that don't ever change like their actions, like versus
right. And that's the thing, I've been trying to not discuss this too much with people who don't have experience. Because the first thing they say is, oh, she's trying to reach out, she's trying to have a connection, you're her mom. Oh my god, I got really long message on TikTok, and I understand it's well intentioned, but they're like, please don't give up on her. And I'm like, well, I'm not giving up on her. Like, I will advocate for her care.
Yeah.
And, I will help them in any way they need to get the information they need or whatever they need. But I can't, like, it's never going to be safe for me to have her here, ever.
Not safe for like the other kids, not safe for you, your family. Like, there's so many other people that you have to like consider and think about, like their safety and well-being, not just yours and like hers.
I also did not fail to notice that, because the letter kind of meanders in topic, right? What she's talking about, which I understand a lot of people are like, well, people were just write like that. But I've read her writing, and that's not her writing style. Her writing style is very much staying on topic, right? And more transition. This, to me, reads like a checklist of the frequently asked questions from TikTok of what people are asking. I think she's watching the videos, which is fine if she wants to.
Yeah.
But I guess it's fine. I mean, I feel a bit cyber stalked, but
I also,
it's public, so what can I say?
It also kind of sounds like what people ask, like when we would do like group therapy with the kids and we would have them write letters to people and we would give like example topics
Mhm.
of like talk about how you're doing in school, talk about like how things are going here, talk about like your friends, and they would only write about like the example topics that we gave them.
What you suggested, go down the
Yeah,
list.
they wouldn't like freestyle of a letter and write like their thoughts and write like anything extra. They would literally only pick the example topics we gave them. And that it also kind of sounds like that, but like it's also kind of similar to like TikTok stuff too, where like those are things people ask about anyway, just because like it's easy.
Right. I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah.
The I'm finally passing my classes now thing is really weird.
Yeah, because
Because
she
she was
was
passing
before.
just fine. Her grades were fine. She finished a year and a half last year. She went through all of ninth grade and half of 10th grade in one academic year. And she passed everything. She got like a D, I think, in geometry. And that was mostly because she went inpatient and didn't get to finish all her work.
Yeah.
So that was confusing to me. Like you said, so if somebody was she thought they were going to read it, that may be a narrative that she's trying to spin on that side. I don't really know.
Because like the only thing I can remember us talking about with like her school was maybe like her just not doing stuff sometimes and like
Right.
hiding her
Right. We did have
computer.
that. I'd have to make her like catch up. But
Yeah.
she did catch up. So I don't know.
I don't remember you ever talking about her like not passing anything or
No,
like
we just
not doing like her, well, I mean, not doing her work, but not to where she wouldn't be like passing.
right. No, she was
So,
doing fine and she was working ahead because she was trying to graduate early.
mhm.
So I don't know. And they may have put
So
her back
weird.
in grade, and they may have going to on-campus school is not the same, especially in, if some of the smaller schools in Oklahoma don't necessarily have block classes. She may be repeating classes she's already taken, which would make
Yeah.
it super easy.
Yeah. Especially, I wonder if they did any kind of like testing to see like where she was at.
I'm gonna guess not, and the reason I say that is because when I reached out to the school to ask that this not be done if it was encouraged by a member of the staff, I didn't know who to send it to, so I copied it to all of the school psychologists that were listed on the website, and I did get a response that said none of the three of us know the student, but we've forwarded it to the appropriate staff, and they usually one of them would have had to be involved if they did like testing and placement testing and all of that in most schools. So I don't think there was testing happened.
I bet they probably did just stick her in like whatever grade she was like in last year or what she should have been in this year, and their classes just like
Yeah, because she
weren't the
was
same.
one semester. She was through one semester of 10th grade.
Yeah, I bet she's repeating classes. And I
Yeah.
bet she's probably making better grades in them since she's already done that
Right, so
part.
Yeah, so I don't know. And they
It's so
may,
weird.
she may have, I don't know. She may have got, I don't know how many times she moved or where she moved. She's been out of here since May. Well, I guess they've only been in school they haven't even finished a semester yet. She's only here since May. And so I know she was still in a shelter at the beginning of June. So she probably went to her first placement in June. So July, August, September, October, 4 months is all. Which was the interesting thing about I've moved lots of places and I've made really great friends. And like, you haven't
been anywhere long enough.
There's no way you knew people long enough to be really great friends at this point. But that's the thing, the way that she conceptualized relationships, because that shallow attachment is the pinnacle for her. Like, that's it.
Yeah.
Like, she'd actually, because we actually had conversations about this. like I have a friend who's been my friend since 5th grade. She's like family, and she knows everything about me. Like, she probably doesn't actually need my response to anything. She just knows what I'm going to say anyway, right? And then say I have a friend that I met 3 weeks ago, and we've, spent 2 hours together in person. And so everything's, nice and friendly. She sees those as the same thing, because there's no negativity. We're not fighting. So we're great friends, because there's no depth, because she doesn't have attachment, right? So she doesn't, that concept of depth of attachment is lost on her.
It sounds kind of like when you're in like elementary school, like real young, like 1st or 2nd grade, and you're like, I met this kid at basketball and we're best friends now. And then at lunch, you guys are no longer best friends because they ate your cookie.
Yes.
Mortal enemies.
Yes.
That's what it sounds like.
Like, yeah. Like I met this person at the club last night, and we had so much fun, and now they're my best friend, and they're going to stay here for 3 days, and then I'm never going to speak to them again, and I'll forget their name in 2 weeks.
Sounds like some people have.
I know. I'm pretty sure I'm describing an actual scenario that happens.
Yes, you very much are.
Yeah, it's exactly like that. That's what it looks like in adulthood. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that.
Right, which is fun, which is, always catches people off guard who do have,
Yeah, because like
empathy and connection and things, because it's a foreign concept to us, because we're on the very other end of that spectrum. And so it's like, what?
Yeah, I like, even like, I'm like, personally, I'm the kind of friend where like I don't have to talk to you all the time for us to still be like really good friends, because like I can just pick up with you wherever I left off. But even still, like I can't imagine having like short friendships like that and treating them the same way that I would treat one of my best friends that I've known since we were like 2 or 3 years old. Like, and we're still best friends, like pretty much. So it's like I can't conceptualize that.
Right.
It's so weird. Yeah, I wonder like if like she's actually like made like good acquaintances, or if she's maybe like exaggerating, possibly. I don't know.
Either way
is like, it's,
there's a pattern of both of those things.
yeah.
So it really could go either way, or a combination thereof. I don't know.
I hope one day she makes like an actual like friend, maybe. But I feel like with the way like not just like her, but people that have like similar tendencies just like treat people, like it's so hard for people to like want to be friends with them, like genuinely friends.
Right. So they end up with a cycle of codependent people who hang on until they've had enough, and then they let go and they find another one.
It could be like the person that I know just cycle through friends because they have Coke. So
Well, we love them.
Well,
despite our common sense saying not to.
I love them, but that doesn't mean I gotta like them all the time.
No, it doesn't. And it also doesn't mean that you can't and shouldn't have boundaries. Still need those boundaries.
Yes, always practicing that.
Always the boundaries. So yes, so I think my boundary on this one is not responding.
I agree.
And because she is still a kid, if she was an adult, then I might respond, and just be really direct. Like, no, don't. Yeah. I did have somebody suggest I could send something back that said fuck off, but I thought that was a bit harsh for a 15-year-old.
If you were a 15-year-old, it wouldn't be harsh, but I think coming from like a mother,
that doesn't seem very nice, and I wouldn't do that.
I I can't imagine you doing that to anybody that you love. So,
I can't imagine.
like, not
Okay.
seriously, and not somebody that hasn't pissed you the fuck off.
Okay, so here's a confession. I know I come off as like a really strong, direct person,
Yeah.
but I even people who've been horrible to me and have pissed me off or have said and done really awful things to me, I still lack the ability to just be like, fuck off and be like mean when at the end. And I don't know why. I want to get over that. I want to be the person who smashes the vehicle with the baseball bat. But I'm just not that person, and I never have been able to be. So I am more likely, I'm the ghosting person. I, set the boundary. When you violate the boundary, I probably set it again because I still am not where I can be like,
Third time's the charm.
Right? I still give too many extra chances. But then when I'm done, I block your number and we're done.
I think it's because you have too much empathy and you don't want to treat people like that.
But
sometimes you have to.
I know. And I there are times, and I think about it sometimes, like think back, and like there are times when I should have and I didn't. And I hope in the future that I can be better about that. That's one thing I'm working on. My self-improvement is to be more firm like that. I'm getting better. I mean, lucky me, because I collect people like this, apparently. And I realized the other day, okay, no, God, I should not say this because sometimes my parents watch these. Please don't watch this. If you're my parents, this is my boundary.
Just stop right here, parents. Let's skip forward like a minute.
I love you. But my mother does have some attachment issues. And she does have diminished empathy, and it took me a long time to realize that. And by diminished, I'm not sure she has any at all. But she can project, like she has, what is it called, cognitive empathy, right, where she can project what, like logically what someone might feel from this, but like the emotional empathy is not there. So that's why she does a lot of things that are hurtful, and she doesn't have a clue that they're hurtful. And so I realized that I grew up with that. So I have a much higher tolerance for that bullshit than the average person, or that I ever realized. I am far too comfortable letting people push my boundaries and not even being aware that they're doing it until they're like way over it. And I'm like, wait, how did we get here? No, right? When I should have started way back here. But I wasn't cognizant of it because what was normalized for me is that lack of boundaries. And so that because of that, I have collected people over the years that that also behave that way. And I happen to have a child with one of them. And so I'm getting better at being firm and direct with him.
Yeah.
So I guess I get to practice with him sometimes. And it's good because it's a space where he has a partner that he's been with for, I don't know, a few years. I don't know. It's been a minute now. Which is not something that had ever happened before. Like ever in his life. And so, he gets most of his supply. He's got a steady supply over there. So he's, so when I tell him to fuck off, he will just, hang up and not talk to me.
He'll go fuck off.
Right. So I'm like, okay, so it's building my ability to be able to do that, I think. So hopefully I'll get better at doing that.
Takes practice. I also can't do it, so I don't know why I'm saying it. Just takes practice. You can do. I can't do it. I'm a liar. I'm a hypocrite. I can't do it either.
Like we know what needs to happen, but that's part of what we're doing here is we're being honest. Like
I know exactly what needs to happen, and I will tell other people to do it, and I will support you and encourage you and be your cheerleader. But then if I try to do it, that's too mean, and I can't do it. I don't want to be mean to them.
I know.
But you can be mean to them, just not me.
So what is it that makes us?
Trauma.
Yes. Yes. Like it's the fawning response, right?
Yeah.
That's the fawning response.
It's like
So how the
anytime,
fuck do we get over that? Like,
I don't know.
where's that at? So I can dig it out and cut it off. What is that?
For real. Like I've been trying to like figure that out because like some of the traumatic experiences I've experienced were like in the last like I don't know like decade of my life have been because of the fawning response.
Same.
Where like I don't want to like disrupt and make it worse. I don't want to be like the bitch one, you know. So I just let shit happen. And I don't know how to stop that. Therapy, maybe.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. And to be sure you never miss an upload, make sure you turn your notifications on. And please come join us on social media so we can continue these conversations in between episodes. You'll find us at Hypoxia Podcast on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok.